Well, there's not too much action on the football pitch at present apart from pre-season games, but the transfer market is alive and kicking. Several pieces of news which are set to cause a great deal of debate, a lot of discussion, some happiness, some bemusement, as it were. It's time to talk transfers, and we welcome you to this Premiership show on the Coach's Corner. Yes, people. I know it's not, as usual, it's not the yo people that you're used to, but once again, welcome to the Coach's Corner. I was, of course, expected to join Hanno for yesterday's Off to the Boundary show, but sadly I couldn't make it. So, as a means of making it up for him, I'm here tonight. And he has, of course, asked me to just start proceedings by hosting things. And I was actually going to provide a very special comment here, but I will leave the honors to Hanno himself. Let me start by welcoming our first guest. He was here with me, and of course, we will be starting the stream together. It is the Aston Villa and Tamworth FC supporter, Bailey Francis. Good evening to you, son. How are you?
Thanks for having me on. And yeah, are you good? Of course, there's no football on the pitch at a minute, but we'll be talking about transfers, maybe some pre-seasons. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, we've had some pre-season fixtures, so I mean, there's a reason why I didn't want to mention them. The less said about them, the better, to be honest. And of course, joining us is the man after whom the channel is named, Mr. Hanno Trollope himself. Good evening, Bert. How's it? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, sorry about that. Just was caught up in something, but yeah, we've got lots of stuff to discuss. Of course, Villa can they secure UCL football?
But before we do that, I'm sure you'd like to make a wonderful announcement, which you put out on your Instagram. So you do the honors.
Yeah. So if you unfollow me on Instagram or Twitter, you won't know that we have got a sponsor, Global Football Kids on Instagram. So it's really cheap, offensive kits. At the moment, he's got a few leads and Hampton fans, and then on next week Wednesday, he's going to add new list of shirts for you kids to check out. So make sure you do use code Coach Corner for 10% off, and use that link. So yeah, but yeah, I just quickly need to you guys can just talk about Villa and UCL football.
Okay, so yeah, obviously, Villa and the Conference League is certainly an exciting time right now. And of course, there was a part of me, Bailey, that was hoping that maybe Villa would finish a bit higher, because when you take a look at the final table, you were 1 point off Brighton and Hove Albion. And there was a part of me that felt that if you had not played so defensively in certain games, which led to the concession of some late equalizers, you probably would have earned more points and ended up in the Europa League. But in a way, it might be a blessing in disguise, because given the high level of competition within the Europa League, and the fact that the Conference League, with all due respect, is not really that much brimming that much with good teams, you might fancy your chances of winning. Of course, you've got to take it one day at a time. But are you looking forward to being back in Europe this season? And later on, you can talk about your transfers.
Yeah, of course. Last season, of course, was really middle season. I reckon we would have got Europa League if Gerrard was sacked well before when we wanted him out. So yeah, but move on to this season. Conference League, fight to win it. I think it's only two clubs who could win it, and that will be Bayern Leverkusen or Aston Villa. I think that's the only two clubs what I can see winning it. I think Aston Villa are trying to get that Moussa from Bayern Leverkusen, who said he wants to actually come to Aston Villa with Unai Emery. So, will we get him? It been talks around the transfer news, of course. Brendan Johnson. That I don't know if it's going to be a swap deal with Lucas Digne, but I know Forest are linked with Lucas Digne. So Brendan Johnson, Harvey Barnes been a bit quiet last couple of weeks, so I think he might go to Newcastle, unfortunately. Paul Torres, we've signed him. Centre back, well. That will be a really good defender for us. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this season coming up. So yeah, hopefully, I do think we'll finish ninth. I don't think we'll get any top 7 again, but I will take a top 10 finish again.
Mate, I have to say that that's a little bit of a, a downer because given how well Unai Emery has managed and brought about a solidity to the team and the seriousness with which you're going, I mean, I certainly wouldn't rule out a European campaign. Maybe the Europa League could be could be a step up. And there is, of course, some talk of that Villa are one of the other teams who are, of course, strengthening. Liverpool and United have made their moves, but Villa, I've said backstage that the transfer strategy that you've employed, where you've picked up players of absolute quality, but because they've not been on the radar as much, they've pretty much been on the cheap, especially compared to the way Arsenal have gone about their business. And in Emery, you've got a serious manager who knows what it takes to qualify for European competition and win more than a few European gongs. So, and as I said, some fine margins in certain games, you could have actually finished quite higher in the table. Maybe not necessarily in the Champions League position then, but this time around, I'm sure you might fancy your chances of going a little bit higher if you solidify the team even further. So I actually think you could challenge for CL football even if you don't get it. I'm not too sure why you'd be you don't have that much confidence in your team finishing anywhere higher than ninth.
Yeah, of course. This season coming up, I'm looking forward to it. To be fair, I think it will be a middle season. I can see us, of course, getting confidently the players in as well. We know this stuff. As Aston Villa are back tomorrow for their first pre-season, and it's 3 weeks tomorrow until the no, actually, I think it's 4 weeks tomorrow until the season actually starts. But yeah, pre-season tomorrow against Warsaw, who we always take on. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Aston Villa to getting back in football again tomorrow. Will we be down? I know some managers end at every pre-season game because they've got stuff to do. So, but yeah, hopefully we can give Tinnemans a go because we haven't got Jacob Ramsey, of course. He's out for 10 weeks, what will be a big miss. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the new season coming up. But Newcastle United away on the first game. Going to be a tough game between both clubs, of course. But yeah, I'm excited for a new season.
Yeah, obviously, I don't know if Matt Targett will still be at Newcastle, given how they're rebuilding, and also you might be looking to sell Luca Digne, but Alex Moreno, when is he coming back? And do you think you'll need another left back to come in?
Alex Moreno is back. He's been in training for the last two weeks, I think. So yeah, he is back. I do think we need another left back. We're linked with this one from a different country. Never heard from him. So yeah, but we are linked with one left back. I think we do need another left back. Lucas Digne goes, but Lucas Digne, like, fair play. You can go to Forest now, probably get game time at Forest, to be fair. And
Yeah,
we sold
exactly.
Ashley Young, of course. But Ashley Young now one contract. His contract was expiring, so he went to Everton now. So yeah, we do need another left back. I think we probably need a left winger as well, as Leon Bailey is set to leave us as well. And we probably need another striker to link up with Ollie Watkins for the upcoming season.
Yeah, true. And there was talk of you trying to go for Laporte from Manchester City, and of course Tierney from Arsenal. Although it looks as though Tierney will either be staying put at the Emirates or heading over to St James's Park. And of course, this comment from Chelsea fan sums up what should be your aim for the Conference League. If West Ham and Danny Ings could win it, there's no reason why you can't.
Yeah, look, I did watch the West Ham final. I think West Ham, gave it all their heart. The fans was loud. I know what Aston Villa fans needed in the Conference League. Be proud. Of course, we've got a playoff game as well. You have to play through the playoffs and to get qualified. Pretty sure. So I think the draw is on the 7th of August. So I'm pretty sure it's like a week on no, wait, 3 weeks on Monday or 2 weeks on Monday. Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to a Conference League. If West Ham can win it, Aston Villa can, but we've probably got harder teams in there than West Ham did. Look,
Yeah.
Inventus got knocked out now, so that's good. We just need to worry about buying Leverkusen, and if they get knocked out early, I think it's all up.
Yeah, be careful, of course, because a certain Granit Xhaka will be playing for them. So he's obviously
Yeah.
going to try to wind you lot up. Make sure you, get under his skin. I can say that because he's no longer an Arsenal player, and all I can say is, good riddance. Vielen Dank, auf Wiedersehen, and I never want to see you near the club ever again.
Yeah.
My thing why I asked this question is because I think Villa can get it or can compete. It's if they can strengthen your day, look, Pau Torres, quality centre back you needed to get in, and upgrade on Mings. You can get a Kieran Tierney or um, and a few more wingers you're looking to offload as well. If Villa can just strengthen that bit more, and it's only 5th place, so it's not that much. And we never know with Tottenham. Maybe they have a bad season again, and so we will see what happens. Villa, I I think you're just below that. You and Brighton are almost just below that conversation. With Spurs, I would say for that top 5, that 5th spot. But you get a few additions, you could be on your route to UCL football. You're saying 10th. I don't think you will get 10th. I think you will get higher than that. Much higher than that. So yeah. Um. Uh.
I'm 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 looking forward to one player who might play with of course he went out on loan at Middlesbrough and Preston. I'm looking forward to Cameron Archer, because I think we will play him in my opinion. I think he will give him time in pre-season and maybe in the Premier League as well because I think he's a class player. He won, of course, the under-21s championship, England, of course, the other week. So yeah, I think I'm looking forward to him.
Oh, that's fair. Fair. Um. That's fair. Manny, you got anything else to say on Villa?
No, I've said my piece. I was actually waiting for you to, say whatever you wanted to say.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Um. Next one is Harry Kane. It's so saga. It seems like Bayern have bet it twice now. Oh, and it just seems like they might he might stay put. I don't know. Of course, they bet what 80 million euros, which is definitely below his value. What do you guys reckon happens here with Harry Kane? Of course, 1 year left. Surely not. Levy will be stingy, and keep him for that another year and hope Hope potentially signs another contract if the season goes well with Ange.
Go on, Manny.
Levy's playing a dangerous game here. It's as simple as that. Um, I was having a debate with a friend of mine who's a diehard Celtic fan, and I remember saying that Postecoglou leaving Celtic to go to Tottenham was a huge mistake because, of course, last season was so dire, Eric Dyer, if you will, that they're not even going to be in Europe this season. And so there is a lot of rebuilding that will be needed, especially given the acrimony that surrounded the departure of Antonio Conte and how several players, of course, have already done their dash and will be leaving. Hugo Lloris, of course, will be one of them. Au revoir et merci pour les mémoires. But it's time for you to take leave. You have you've been a good servant, a legend, but it's time for you to go. And now, of course, with Lloris leaving, Kane does have the carrot of being captain now of the club. So in normal circumstances, that would be enough to try and convince him to stay because it is, you know, his club, as it were. It's a club which he obviously holds very dear to his heart, and to captain that club the way Declan Rice did West Ham would be his stuff of dreams. But he also has to keep in mind that he will want to, achieve quite a little bit more, and also want to at least be in a more stable situation, which might not necessarily happen if he stayed at the Tottenham Stadium. Now, if Levi is planning on hedging his bets on Postecoglou having a really successful season with the club, it's a bit of a risk, really, because yes, it worked with Celtic, but then there's a reason why they call Celtic a bit of a farmers' league. It's effectively a league where, Celtic are always going to be guaranteed to compete for the Scottish Premiership and or end up winning it year after year after year. Whereas with Spurs, there are no such guarantees. And Spurs, of course, are a club with a rich history, but their recent, silverware haul has been absolutely dire. Eric Dyer, or even worse. In fact, the last time they won any silverware note was, of course, that League Cup, wherein Juande Ramos' side beat Chelsea. Sorry, Hannah, but I did have to bring that up. But since then, they've flattered to deceive. It might be harsh on the now Chelsea manager who took them to the Champions League final, which was absolutely brilliant. But since then, they kind of plateaued, and he had to go, and Mourinho wasn't much better. And it's been, one forgettable season really after another with a few highlights in between. And obviously the fact that they went ahead and hired Postecoglou with his amazing pedigree is a sign that Tottenham were quite serious about ending that ridiculous hoodoo. So I would definitely go so far to say that it will hinge on the club doing really well this season, but it is a very risky strategy. I do not see them challenging for the title. Their best hope will probably be to win a cup or maybe two, do what Manchester United very nearly did last season, and maybe convince Kane to stay, because at least, there's some silverware in that shiny, swanky new trophy cabinet in that stadium of theirs. But it is a very big risk. And if Kane does end up leaving on a free, then it will turn out to be a gamble that simply failed. Of course, as Chelsea fans said, Tottenham, the owners of Spurs, would be absolutely stupid to let Harry Kane go on a free, which he would end up doing at the end of the season. So Levy's playing a dangerous game. All we can do now is see for ourselves if Harry Kane decides to stay this season, but the team ends up, not doing anything, then Spurs are going to have to take the L and allow him to go for free. It's not going to be nice, but, that is the risk you play. It's a high-risk strategy, and, people say that you've got to be willing to risk more to give yourself a better chance of a reward, but despite having studied finance myself, I'm more of a risk-averse guy. Sometimes calculated risks are the best way to go about it. And, if I were involved on the Spurs board, I'd say, maybe Kane's, given everything he possibly could to the club and gotten very little in return. Maybe it's a chance to move away from that, like we were able to do with I mean they were able to do with Hugo Lloris, and start maybe building a new sort of team, the way these eventually successful teams have been able to do over the years.
Yeah. So, yeah, in my opinion, I think they should, of course, if if they want Harry Kane to go, why don't you leave him? Let him go now, um, because he's going to be a free transfer for next season. So, yeah, but in my opinion, I've said it to most people. I do think Kane might stay for one more season if he chooses to, but we'll see. Of course, I know Bayern Munich are trying to get him. I know PSG are linked with him as well. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Hannah? Well, it looks as though he's yeah, it looks as though he's sort of gone bunk for a minute. And of course, we can't really continue. I mean, obviously, continuing with Spurs, we have to take a look at their transfers, and they have obviously brought in James Maddison, who is quite a quality signing. I was actually thinking that Aston Villa could have done with someone like Maddison. I was a bit surprised that you went in for Tielemans, who is probably regarded as being a bit lazy, but then Maddison's also considered to be a bit, some guy with a bit of an attitude problem. But it could be a quite decent signing, and I wonder what you think of the other Spurs signings that have been made.
Yeah, of course. James Madison, I think he's a quality player. He was probably one of the Leicester City's best signing, well, best player last season. Um, I think I don't know if Spurs have signed. Have they signed a goalkeeper?
Yeah, they signed this other guy named Vicario from Italy, and he obviously has been signed with an eye on replacing Lloris as the number one.
Yeah,
Although Fraser Forster will also still be at the club as a more than capable deputy, and you know. Matt Doherty has also been allowed to move on permanently,
yeah,
and
he could be going back to Wolves.
I think he's already gone back. I'm not too sure though.
Oh, I see. But yeah, that keeper, of course, they've signed. Hugo Luis has now, of course, left. So yeah, that probably why they, of course, signed a new goalkeeper. But with Spurs, I, I can see them getting top seven next season. I think they'll get Conference League seventh. Of course, this manager, of course, former Celtic manager, of course. He hasn't been in the Premier League before, so will he be good in the Premier League? We'll wait and see. We saw Gerrard come from Scotland, from Rangers, and he wasn't good in the Premier League, so we'll see if the former Celtic manager can.
Right. So clearly, some moves have been made, although maybe more could have been done. And of course, it has been confirmed of late that Hugo Lloris will not be travelling with the club to Asia for their pre-season tour. So I don't know why he hasn't even gone yet. But of course, he is expected to leave. Vicario has been signed as a replacement. I do believe Forster will also
He's
remain at the club. And
right. Of course, Dan Juma, who was at Spurs, of course, looked like he could be going to AC Milan, as Everton, Feyenoord, and AC Milan are all linked with him. But looked like he could be going to AC Milan. But big big days for Danjuma. He will say what club he wants to go to soon. So maybe tomorrow, maybe that what just came through.
Yeah.
right.
Sorry, I'm back. I'm back. So yeah, my comment on Harry Kane and Levy. For me, unless you totally believe Ange can get to Champions League football, and then then Kane will stay, then only you can not let them go, cause it's big money you're losing out on what 100 million you're losing out on, and then possibly you aren't going to recoup any of that money. So yeah, but um let's say Spurs do let go of Kane. Do you guys think they sign another striker as backup to Richarlison?
Well, I mean, they're going to have to. I'm not too sure who they have in reserve. And if Kane is allowed to leave, I don't even know what frame of mind Heung-min Son will be in.
Yeah, true, definitely. Um,
Yeah. I think Son. I heard that Son is linked with the club already anyway. So he could be going in the next year or so. But the striker, well, they'll have to get one, but I'm not too sure who. So we'll wait and see.
yeah. Um, I think they still need a few signings, but they also need to let go. That's the one club that has not been able to do business with of Saudi Arabia is Tottenham. Seen in Everton do business. You've seen Chelsea. You've seen Liverpool are starting to do business. Um, and you have seen Arsenal links there. And United of course links also to them. Well, not really United to be fair. Yeah, well, they are links. They are links. So yeah, but we're going to move on from this and talk a bit more about Arsenal. Um,
Oh
and
boy.
and first one, is there really a plan for Arsenal? For Kai Havertz, Mister the silky German came from Chelsea to also played a cracker of a game against FC Nuremberg. Um, I believe he won every deal. He almost scored a goal. It did not bounce in front of the keeper. It actually was straight hits at the keeper. So yeah. But money. Question for you. Is there a plan for Kai Havertz? Because it doesn't fit into your starting 11. And would you even say it's better than Fabio Vieira you've got there as a backup to Odegaard?
You know, at this particular point, Hanno, when you're talking about Fabio Vieira, it's a case of any port in the storm. Any player at this point would be a little bit better than Vieira, and at least with Havertz, we got Premiership and European experience. And of course, he's coming into Arsenal having had a pretty poor season uh, with you lot. And for the wages that he's being offered and how much we spent for him, we'd better have a plan for him. Otherwise, this could very well be another William Borges style move where we sign a player for big money based on his reputation with our noisy rivals from the west of London. And he flatters to deceive horribly. And we're all eventually glad to see the back of him at the end. And he also decides to end things with us rather than become a hate figure. just as well that he had a better season at Fulham. So, I mean, last season. So Havertz really needs to sort of prove himself right now, and Arteta really needs to get his game plan going. I think there are some decent qualities about the guy, and obviously he can lend a bit more to the team. And maybe once we see him in action in the Premiership, we'll find out what he really is all about and what Arteta's vision is for him. The only problem I have is that a large number of people are going to try and take a look at the likes of Ben White, Aaron Ramsdale, and others and say, well, they're examples of how successful Arteta has been in finding players and making sure they've adapted to his system and played important roles, and that they are good players themselves. Everyone in the YouTube community, at least many of them, will know that I do not rate Aaron Ramsdale very highly. Just because you can land a goal kick on a sixpence and make a few camera saves, it doesn't make you a good goalkeeper. His positioning is absolutely poor at times. He flaps horribly on crosses, and his attitude doesn't sit well with me. Neither does Ben White's, for that matter. So Arteta will live and die this upcoming season on the Havertz transfer, because he spent that much money, having shown so much faith in him, and we spent so much money compared to the likes of Bailey's Aston Villa, for instance, and they've got some excellent quality acquisitions, I have to say. And, with all that money being spent, it means that there's a lot of pressure for those signings to work and those players also to hit the ground running. And Havertz will definitely be no different. He's got a huge sword hanging over his head. It has to be said. So hopefully we will see a plan for him, and hopefully we will see him do quite well. We can't really put too much emphasis on friendly games because, they're just effectively glorified warm-up sessions against a different opposition than the reserve team. And they are opportunities, of course, for the some of the fringe players to come on later on and show what they're capable of. I think a lot of people were critical of Balogun for coming on and not really scoring. He had some misses, but they were difficult chances, it has to be said. And as far as Eddie Nketiah was concerned, I think that friendly against Nuremberg could be summed up this way. Super Sacco was fantastic. Nketiah was atrocious. So clearly this team needs a little bit more than a spoonful of sugar, and it's just as well that these guys are not diabetic. I want to see Arteta's plan, what he has cooked up, and we will see a few more pre-season games because obviously they're going to go across the Atlantic to play in America, and we will see what happens then, what he has in store for the boys, and and how the boys will react to that. So jury's still out for now. I never got to see that friendly anyway, so I'm not going to pass judgment on him. But the jury is out on him, and he has to hit the ground running come the start of the season. No excuses. I'm sorry to say that. And as for Rice, I've made my opinions clear on him. It is £105 million, some of which we don't quite have. We were allowed to trip over ourselves just to get him because we wanted him more than City did, apparently. And City said, you know what, you're welcome to him. We've got Kovacic. And Rodri can come in. Stones can also play in the centre. We've still got Bernardo on the left and De Bruyne on the right. We're going to We're still going to rip you apart this coming season anyway. The only problem we might have is how the hell do we offload Calvin Phillips? But City allowed us to fall over ourselves, and we've now got a £105 million purchase, who certainly is quality but not world class. And he should be able to slot into our team like a hand into a glove. But But I think Bailey said it perfectly backstage. He's not worth that much money. Of course, neither maybe was Jackie Grealish, but Grealish has gone from strength to strength at City. Sorry to say that, Bailey. And of course, Timber, it's going down. Everyone's calling it. Good signing. Good signing. Good defensive cover, can certainly provide an option as well as an auxiliary right back. Not exactly, I don't really like these jacks of all trades who aren't necessarily masters of any trade. But if you buy him as a central defender, he's good cover for Saliba and Gabriel. Also, an international for the Dutch team, even though that numpty Ronald Koeman isn't playing him because he prefers Van Dijk and that other fella Gertruida from Feyenoord. What's not to like about Timber? I'm interested to see him. We should have gotten Caicedo, though. It looks as though he could be going to Chelsea. So if you get him, Hanno, congratulations. Knock yourselves out. Quality midfielder. Good replacement for
Hopefully,
Kovacic.
hopefully we get some stuff. Things are moving slow, really slow. I I don't know about Timber. He had a rocky season. Then at Ajax, I think everyone was shocked to see what happened at Ajax. Um, so I don't know about Timber. It can be good, but it can also fail. I think it's got a bit more credit in the bank. Cause United wanted him a few last season and Ericsson. Then they decide no, we're going to get Martinez. So we could see him perform. Will he do? I don't know. And I think this thing about these right backs playing centre backs playing at right backs. I don't think it will work for Arsenal. To be fair, um, so yeah, cause if we touch more on Havertz, the only way I can see this happening, Havertz starting is that Man City formation of potentially Zinchenko attacking in and then uh, Timber as that third centre back. That's the only way
You mean
I
the
see them
three?
start.
You mean the 3-2-4-1, which they used. I'll tell you something.
Yeah, the
That
three
formation, that
two.
formation. If I ever see Mikel Arteta trying to copy Guardiola again and miserably failing, I am literally going to have an aneurysm. I'm sorry. He's
But
failed before, and this isn't really going to work. Because look, the only way you can play three at the back is if your wing backs are going to be able to kind of start in defence and then be able to overlap the way Denzel Dumfries and Daley Blind did for the Netherlands. But in that 3-2-4-1 formation, we found De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva being stuck up midfield all the time. And even then, you'd have Stones coming into the midfield. You'd leave yourself with too many gaps. If I ever see Arteta trying to do that, I will literally lose it. And it's going to make me very, very angry indeed. Now, of course, as Marvin Marshall would say, that will make me angry. Very angry indeed. um, Sorry about that. I used to watch a lot of cartoons. I still watch them. And if anyone remembers the old Looney Tunes stuff, you'll remember Marvin Martian. But are you going to clip that, Hannah?
nah. I won't do that.
You can if you want. I don't mind. But look, all I'm saying is right now is that if Arteta has a plan for Havertz, it will probably have to be as a sort of a number 8 because look, he's already gotten rid of Granit Xhaka. I don't see him necessarily, replacing Martin Odegaard, and so we can't. We probably won't be able to play the 4-2-3-1 with Rice and Partey as the defensive midfielders because if Havertz has to start, he will have to be shoehorned into the centre, and Zinchenko will probably end up starting as left back anyway. So we're back to that. We're back down that stupid rabbit hole. It could very well be a 4-3-3, and then we'll see how that works. And at least Havertz can, be used as a false nine of sorts, rotating with Gabriel Jesus and putting Eddie Nketiah firmly out of the picture. But then Trossard also can play as a false nine. So all I can
Yeah.
say is we're going to have to wait and see. But, with Arteta, I really, really, really do not know what is up with that bloke.
Well, honestly, I think you'll play that. I think because I don't really see why you buy a guy for 60 m's just to keep him on the bench.
Of course.
So I I, I don't know. Like Timber is a good signing. I think he can do well, but we never know. He can also fail, as he recovered from last season. So yeah, we'll see. We can just let's just quickly go through some transfer news. We'll see if there's any big developments. Of course, United fans still waiting for that year we go on Onana. They're all just saying it's close. It's really really close. But still not nothing. Um. So let's check anything. Any real news?
Oh, have you heard about Jordan Henderson agreeing that deal to go all the way to Saudi Arabia to join
Yeah,
Steven Gerrard?
yeah, I heard that. Oh, Mitrovic also personal terms of Saudi.
I thought he rejected them.
Nah, it's agreed a deal of them 4 hours ago. That's a massive one. That's massive for Fulham and what they do next season. Of course, I think there was hopes that they can again just secure again a Premier League status, but it might be back um down to relegation fights. So yeah, of course you're in Sumba deal. So 40 million euros to pounds. How many is that? Just to work out 40 euros, euros and pounds. That's 34. So 34. Um. So you spend 60 plus 34. 94 million on two players. Pounds, of course. Um, Still waiting for the Rice deal to come through. See what happens with that. Um, Interest from Benabache, Benabache for Keylor Navas. PSG are open to selling the keeper. Of course, he was on loan at Forest. And City have made Benjamin Pavard on top of the list as new right back. Pavard is
Oh.
City's main in priority in case Walker will join Bayern. Do not do advance on player side, but not least as yet. Bayern and City will discuss about Walker and
I
Pavard.
do, I do like Benjamin Pavard. I mean, I thought he was really good for France when they won the World Cup in 2018. Of course, in 2022, he was, dropped in favour of Jules Koundé, if memory serves me right. But still, quite decent quality, and maybe a move away from Paris will do him a world of good. Manchester City are making moves as well. I like that.
Yeah, yeah, they are. They are. Uh, yeah,
I
we
mean,
did.
obviously they have to because they've said goodbye to Ilkay Gundogan, and of course there's talk about Kyle Walker possibly moving off. So yeah, I mean
Yeah,
City have no choice, and that's what they always do. They recycle, they move on, and they maintain their standards.
yeah. Crystal Palace have submitted a formal proposal for Matthias Franca, which was linked to Chelsea. I believe Chelsea um, left after this news was broke to the media. Um, Still no bid. And, as 25 million euros is still excessive. Um, and then just boring Caicedo news. So yeah, I believe there was was news. I don't know from who, from one of the Liverpool journalists about it. Um,
About who?
mm, about Anderson. I'm just going to see.
Yeah, the Henderson one really, surprises me because it's very easy to say that given that the Al Ettifaq were offering mobile numbers, as my friend Kenny Ken put it, he decided that he wanted to secure a future for his children. But moving them all the way to Saudi, and bear in mind, I actually lived in Saudi for 6 or 7 years, so having to find a school, adapt to those new surroundings. I get it. Listen, life in the Middle East, the GCC nations will always be comfortable as long as you've got a good job and you're earning a good salary. And of course, bear in mind, if you live in the GCC, you don't pay any taxes on your salary, so whatever you earn, you effectively keep. But it's going to be a huge culture shock moving to Saudi, and they're going to have to find some really good schools. In fact, if we take a look at where Al Ettifaq is, it's not like it's even in one of the bigger um, cities in the country. In fact, it is in a decent city. It's based in Dammam, which is not too far from the capital, Riyadh. So it is, of course, one of the bigger cities. I don't know if it has its own international airport. I think it might. I'm pretty sure it does. It should have. I mean, obviously, as the country has grown, country grows, it's imperative that the bigger cities have, more airports. It is the fourth
Yeah,
most populous city in Saudi Arabia after Riyadh, Jeddah, and Mecca. And transportation. Yeah, it is the King Fahd International Airport, which is in fact the largest airport in the world in terms of land area. So, obviously, if not a straight flight from Liverpool, then definitely transit via Heathrow or even Gatwick straight to King Fahd Airport in Dammam, and Bob's your uncle. But will his children get good schools? Will his wife enjoy that climate? It's not so humid, so you might not sweat, but then mineral water will be essential. And this will probably go for several other European players who decide to take the plunge and move to the kingdom. Um, Henderson's also still very much in the plans of Gareth Southgate with England, and he could. I thought he would retire, but he could eventually, potentially, still earn 100 caps for England and solidify his status as one of England's greatest. Why would you want to throw that all away by moving to the Saudi league? I know Cristiano Ronaldo is still being picked for Portugal, but hey, it's Cristiano Ronaldo, and he's being picked by the clueless uh, Roberto Martinez. How that fellow ever got to manage Belgium and Portugal will be beyond me. And
yeah, love
I like that. I like that Chelsea fan doing business with them. Hypocrites.
absolutely. I think we're going to end it there now. I don't have really anything else to.
Yeah, you mentioned about Tony Cruz extending with Real Madrid. I think
No,
Modric might still be.
that's a past one.
Ah, right, right, right.
Yeah.
So, what about your preseason? What's going on with you lot?
We going to go to America next week, Monday, I think. Then we play Wrexham on Thursday, and when we do that, um, we will. Yeah, when that happens, we just stay in America really. Play Brighton. We might see Caicedo um, play against us. We'll see. So it will be interesting to see what happens. Well, for us, it's just really quiet. We want to sell a few players before we fly out to America on the 17th. We want to get rid of Bamiang, which you might go to Marseille. Lukaku, of course, the main one. Kalamat and Adoi is on that list. Who else is on that list? Ziyech is also on that list. So yeah, there's a few players. Um, but yeah, that's basically it from me. You got anything more else you wanna ask around Chelsea or anything?
Nothing much else. Nothing much else. All I can say is that I hope that Poch will have a plan for you lot, and of course, after the season you've had, as in your final season with Mourinho, the only way you can go after going so down is go back up. So Arsenal are going to have to be very wary of you lot, and you know I expect you to bounce back. And as far as we're concerned, there are no excuses, but there's a lot of apprehension about next season as far as Arsenal are concerned. I know that Chris Mossing in the chat might not agree with me, but it is what it is.
Look, we need to get off to a great and we need to get top five. We need to get it. Arsenal, it's a big season for Arteta and
Oh,
Arsenal.
one question. With Edouard Mendy having gone off to Saudi, who's going to be your new backup keeper? If
We might sign one. I don't know if we will sign one. It's either a lead goalkeeper like a Diogo Costa or Mike Mignon. Um, Always sign a striker. I don't know really which one we're going with, but if we don't sign a keeper, it's going to be Gabriel Solina from America, from the US.
okay, because I
So yeah,
tell you something, going into the season with Kepa Arrizabalaga as your number one once again should not fill you with confidence. You were in the market for Onana. Hopefully, you still will get Maignan, who would be absolute quality, but times are ticking.
yeah, true. But for me, it's just about Caicedo because that's your midfield. I think the rest we can just add bits and pieces, really. So yeah, but we're going to end it on there. But before we do, please do check out Global Footy Kids, channel sponsor. And use code Coach Corner for 10% off. It's not expensive. It's really cheap kit. And then on the 19th on Wednesday, you'll see a massive addition to a few more kits dropping there. So um, we'll see you all then on Sunday. I'll be live again. So yeah, we'll see you all then, people. Cheers.